Oh, lo siento, muchachos. Es uno momento. We're late. And that's my Spanish for today. But good morning, everybody. This is the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Training number. What are we on today? Number 92. Getting close. Oh, wait, no. We on 92? I don't even know where we are. Yeah, number 92. No, we're on number 93. John did not. No, we're on number 92. Okay, sorry about that. A little confusion there. But yeah, this is Wholesale Real Estate Training from the Sell a House guys, the property noodlers, the guys that are doing it a little bit differently than all the rest and being more successful than all the rest and becoming the best. Anyway, whatever. We're having fun this morning. It's a Freedom Friday, Friday the 13th. Big scary day for most people. Might want to, shut the doors and lock yourself in and not go outside in the scary world today because Friday the 13th, all the bad things are going to happen. So I don't know how you feel about that, but to me, hey, it's just another Friday. 13th, just another day. 13th, just another floor in the building. I don't know why there isn't a 13 there. It goes 12 to 14, but who cares? Anyway, I just want to say good morning to everybody. I had a thought the other day. This is Friday is kind of a Freedom Friday thing. We don't do a whole lot of anything specific here on what we have as far as a game plan and a model of what we're going to talk about on this particular day. And I woke up the other morning thinking about, productivity and how much time, how much time people put in. And, it's said that to become a master at anything, that it takes 10,000 hours. We talk about how you can very quickly grow this business into something that could, potentially replace your job. And we talk about 3 years or less. And I broke that down, and 3 years or less comes out to, or 10,000 hours, I'm sorry. If you wanted to do it in 3 years, just so happens comes out to 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. So that's kind of the commitment level that you need to look at if you really want to do something with your real estate business that is going to replace your job. And I'll tell you, I replaced my job with this real estate business, and it it took 3 years. The first year was a year that I thought I was going to just jump right into this and I was going to make $1 million, and boom, it was going to be all over, piece of cake, flying, champion of the world, all those things, right? Well, didn't happen that way. The first year, I got out there and I started doing this, and then, figured out, obviously, I didn't know what the heck I was doing to start with, and went out there and ended up finding a partner, John, who we kind of teamed up together, sort of put two brains on this project because he was in the same place, coming from construction, wanting to change his life and do something different and start earning, real money instead of working for a living and slaving his life away. And so we were kind of on the same wavelength of desire that we want to work towards this. And it was just like, hey, let's work together on this. I've been doing this. What have you been doing? Oh, he's been doing this. Hey, well, you know what? I haven't been doing that. And he's like, I haven't been doing that. And so, combining forces, we were just able to do twice as much. And I think it really helped us grow twice as fast. And that is the power of the mastermind right there, is having two or more brains, working in harmony towards the same result. Very powerful stuff. And I think that really, quite honestly, that along with, hooking up with a mentor at the end of year one, who wasn't really necessarily a real estate mentor, but more just a self-development, inspirational mindset, business way of thinking and building and growing and all these things, kind of a mentor that got us to wake up to the fact that we ourselves were the number one problem that was going to hold us back or prevent us from doing anything and being successful. And so we really realized that there's a way for us to to learn and grow. And this is so funny when my screen does this. I'm sorry, guys, but it's so distracting. My screen like flips back and forth from one scene to another. It's me talking, and I'm trying not to look at it. I'm trying to look into the camera, but I can just see it below, and it's subtle, but it's so obvious that it's changing. It's weird. It's very distracting, and I apologize for that. So anyway, I was saying that we learned to we learned that it was ourselves that was the main problem for us, growing and becoming successful at this business. It wasn't necessarily that we didn't have the knowledge of what it was that we were doing so much. It was more that we didn't have the knowledge of how we need to do it and what we need to do for ourselves to make it grow and become successful. For that, so that first year, we learned a lot. We spent a lot of money on more education. So we gained a lot of knowledge in that first year. We were learning the business in that first year, which pretty much in anything that you do, that's kind of how it goes. The first year, you're learning most all of it. And so what we had for success was minimal. And I was still working my construction job. Now I left Lake Tahoe, California to come to Phoenix, Arizona and do this. So I'm a long ways away just because of the opportunity. But anyway, I wasn't doing this out of my home. So this is a bigger challenge as well, too. I still had to go back to work for the summer. I had a commitment to work for the summertime in my construction business, not only to my employer, but also to myself and my house, and keeping myself out of foreclosure and moving forward and getting more money to be able to continue doing this. And so I only had like 5 or 6 months to work on this, building this business here and making action happen. And when I left here to go back to work, nothing had happened. We hadn't gotten a deal. Not one. Didn't make any money. Spent all the money that I'd saved up to go do this and didn't have any money. It was very discouraging. But fortunately, like I said, I'd hooked up with this partner who was able to be here, although he had to go back to work as well, too, in his construction trade. But we sort of were able to, still thinking about it, talking about it, doing, what little that we could from my remote location and his, little time off from his job and that sort of thing, just slowly continuing progress. And lo and behold, the work that we had put in for 5 months produced a couple of really good deals. And we thought, hey, we're really onto something here. We got this figured out. We know what we're doing now. How do we capitalize on this? And so we thought instantaneously, without even knowing it, we thought about duplicating ourselves and hiring a person to do some of the work that we were doing when I was here, when we were both together doing this, and do that work for us while we're at our job, so that they can do that work for us, so that we can continue marketing and bringing in deals. And so we did that. We got somebody, we trained him up, we got him doing it. We weren't good trainers. We weren't good duplicators. And although it was getting done to a certain extent, it wasn't getting done 100% right, although we thought it was, and it wasn't producing like it did before. And so we spent a lot of money on this person doing this work, that a lot of money that we had just gotten, that we didn't really have a lot of money. And so we spent a lot of money thinking that, oh, this is going to make more deals come in. And they didn't come. They didn't come for another 4 or 5 months. We only did 3 deals in that first year. Fortunately, they were good sized deals, and we ended up making, almost $30,000 off of them. So a $10,000 supplement to our income was a very, very powerful thing that allowed us to keep the business going. It didn't make us rich, but allowed us to keep the business going. So anyway, at the end of the summer, I came back to Phoenix. John came back to Phoenix, and came back to the focusing more on the real estate, opposed to having to work in his construction trade as much. So we had more time again, and we started refocusing on all these things. But again, we had this very expensive person that we were paying for doing this stuff, but we didn't really go back and examine exactly what she was doing and how she was doing it. And we didn't realize how much waste and cost and money that was going out into that. And so it's kind of a really good thing that we were never able to move her from a part-time to a full-time position, and then she had to leave and go to a full-time position. And that forced us, not by choice, but by force. We had no other choice. We were low on money. We couldn't hire somebody else to step in and start doing this, so we had to go back to doing it ourselves. And that's when we realized, oh wow, there's a whole lot of different things that we need to be doing here, and there's a whole lot of ways that we can cut costs and we can do this better and make this more of a functioning system. So we did that, and we made it easier for ourselves, and we were doing it. And this was about the time that we met our mentor Jeff. And then we started learning about all these other things that, about ourselves and the way we sort of haphazardly were trying to run a business. And we started trying to put together things that helped us build a business better now, instead of focusing on, learning how this wholesale real estate thing is done. Now we started focusing a little bit upon how, to put together a more efficient business kind of a model to where things can get done efficiently. And that was really cool, and that really helped us a lot. And we started doing some deals, and we found another little program that helped us get some deals done. So we were actually, in the second year, fairly consistently doing some deals and doing well. And we weren't getting rich. We only did, for the whole year, I think we did about a deal a month on average. I think we did about 12 deals for the year. But we went from making 32,000, or not, yeah, no, actually the first year was a little over 30,000, about 35,000, and into the second year, where we made about I think just shy of $100,000. So as you see, I still wasn't getting away from asphalt making $100,000 if John and I are, first of all, splitting profits, and then also leaving a large chunk in the company, so to speak, to keep the marketing and everything going. So, basically, I mean, you're looking at, a $25,000 salary there, which isn't going to replace our, high level construction trade jobs. At the time, I was a foreman. John's a co-company owner, foreman person at the time as well too. So that wasn't enough money to replace our income yet. So that's year two. And, I have to go back to work now, at least part-time over that summer. I traveled back and forth, doing a little bit there, a little bit here, 3 weeks there, 3 weeks here, kind of a thing, for the course of that summer. So I didn't transition out of my business yet, but I was able to transition a little bit away from it a little bit, able to apply more time towards what I was doing here. And see, that's the whole thing, is your job takes up so much of your time in your life. You have to start getting something going on the side where you can start earning a little bit of extra money, so that you can start buying back some of that time that your job is stealing away from you. And that's what I was able to do in the second year. I was able to buy back about 3 months of my time over the course of the summer, that I could apply to my wholesale real estate business. And so we moved into the third year now. And throughout the course of that second year, we had replaced our gal with someone else who helped us. It was actually John's wife at the time, and she had come in, and she had found she's the one who helped us actually find a lot of the problems. And then, she was only able to help us for a little while. And it was really cool, because then when she left, we had to get back into it again. And then we found even more stuff, and we started to create this system. We figured out a way to create a system to track what we were doing and keep tabs on it, and hopefully, create this funnel that would have these leads being monitored and followed up with, and all of that, the right way, that we would generate a lot more business from. And so by the time we figured out this funnel and figured out this system, we started to implement it. We chose to hire another person to come in and help us at the office. So her main focus was upon, helping us putting this system together at the first. I mean, we had bigger plans for her too, but this whole system with putting together the spreadsheet and the tracking system and everything else sort of I mean, we had just thought of this. It was a great idea, but it kept transitioning and it kept morphing into something a little bit different. So we kind of got her locked into a place where, she thought she was going to grow out of rather quickly, and she sort of got locked into this whole data processing sort of a mode, is what I guess you would call it, and not really sort of the position that we kind of presented when we hired her. And here again, too, we never really progressed past that point of being able to get her into the full-time position. We had her on part-time, a little bit more than the first person, but we couldn't get past that hump of putting her, getting her full-time pay. And so over the course of time, in the third year now, she had to bail on us as well too, and go get a full-time job somewhere else, which again forced us back into our system. And this is where we really got it refined down to what it is now, that cost us virtually, so little to operate every year compared to, or every month. I mean, it cost us, and I'm not, it cost us pretty much now, one person 5 hours, no, one person about 15 hours a week, I would say, to operate the system, and then plus the cost of the actual marketing pieces, which, that cost has always been there. There's nothing you can do about that. Stamps and envelopes, you can't, you can find them a little bit cheaper, you can knock that cost down a little bit, but they are what they are, and that cost is always going to be there. So the cost of the marketing pieces themselves, but the labor intensiveness that we cut out of it is just insane. We've knocked it down by 90%, really, from like 5,000. It was ridiculous. I don't know. We were spending something like, I think we were spending like almost $5,000 a month in the very beginning, and we've knocked it down to like $500 a month. So it's just crazy. Anyway, that's that system being in place, and then us being able to really, we thought we were in really big trouble in that third year because we hit a lapse. And that's kind of when we both realized that it wasn't what we were doing in the business. We had kind of gotten away from our own personal growth in this company and our own personal development. And we had sort of stagnated and settled into a comfort level of what kind of people that we were, and what we and relating that to what we were doing and what we were wanting to achieve, which was really we were still kind of having that desire of the sort of doing everything from your couch in your underwear eating Cheetos kind of a business, which when you're growing and building and starting out isn't going to get you there. Anyway, finally moved into the final phase here, where we got past that, said, okay, we need to step up our game. We need to elevate ourselves again, and started growing from that. And that's when, we had another person come into our life who presented an opportunity that we were like, hey, that's great. We'll go for that. We'll do that. And that has really worked out well for us and taken us really to where we want to go. And the second half of last year, which was the third year, the second half of last year, even though we had a huge lull of no deals for 4 months, 5 months actually, I think it was, the latter 2/3 of last year, we actually outpaced what we did in the entire year previously. So even though we didn't outpace it by much, like I said, I think we did about 12 deals the year before. We did just, I think we did 11 the year before. I think we did just like 13 or 14 last year, but we did that in 2/3 the time, because that was where the growth level came into and the explosion of this. And of course, those extra deals, not only did we do a few extra deals, we did a lot more deals that had a lot more profit in them as well too. So we went from like I said, from about 35,000 in the first year to I think it was like 97,000 in the second year to like $160,000 in the third year. So now at 160,000, we're actually at the level where, okay, what's 25% of 160,000? That's $40,000. $40,000 is just like right there of replacing, our previous incomes. So we were like, I was like, I'm done. Okay, if I'm at this level right now, I know we're growing this and it's getting bigger. There's no sense. I can cut it 100%. Don't have to do this again. And I didn't. Well, actually, I did it. I did it the year before. I took a big chance. Even 5 months in, which was very similar to the first year, 5 months in without a deal, I took the chance. I pulled the trigger and I said, I'm not going back. And that's when things changed. When I made that step, when I made that call, when I put my foot down and said, you know what, I can't afford to go back to work and not put the time into this business at this point in time to elevate it to the next level. And when I made that step, when I pulled the trigger on that, that's when things took off, and that's when we started getting deals, and that's when this other person came into our life, and that's when everything just kind of came together and started us building and growing towards, where we're going now. And so you look at that and you say, okay, we didn't quite replace it. So I'll tell you, it was a struggle. And it's meant to be a struggle. But this year now, the fourth year, where I was going at within 3 years, how you can build this business, see, all of that we've been through, you don't have to do now. You don't have to go through all those painstaking, trial and error sort of steps that we did, because we've done them. And with the Property Noodlers team, we can skip all of that for you and get you right, cut you right into the heart of getting grand success very quickly. And going into this fourth year now, very interesting. I don't know what this is about the beginning of the year, but we did have a lull, but it didn't go 5 months this time. This time it's only gone like a month and 3/4. We went a month and 3/4 without a deal. But hey, you know what? That's a lot better than 5 months that we had in the first couple of years. Even in the second year, we went about 2.5 months without a deal. So we've cut the time. We went 5 months. Actually, let's see, the very first year was 7 months to a deal. The second year was only like 3 months to a deal. That's why we thought we were kings. The third year now extended out to 5 months for a deal. Now the fourth year, only a month and a half to a deal. So you see how this is progressing. And that's a pattern that I never would have thought of or looked at, but looking back on it now, it's a pattern that I know how basically life works, and it's going to give you abundance, and then it's going to knock you down, and then it's going to give you abundance, and it's going to knock you down. And each time it gives you abundance, it's going to give you more, and each time that it knocks you down, it's not going to knock you down as far, as long as you keep getting up and coming back at it. As soon as you stop getting up and coming back at it, guess what? You're going to get your abundance, but now it's not going to be higher than it was before. It's going to be the same. Then you're going to get knocked down again, and guess what? You're going to get knocked down even farther than you did before, and that's just how life works. But as long as you keep getting up and you keep fighting, you'll still keep getting those incremental growths. You'll have your highs, you'll have your lows, but the lows keep getting shallower and the highs keep getting higher. So that's just something that you have to expect from life. That's just the way it is. So there you go. Year 4 Property Noodler program is now coming together. We've got 4 people on the team now, and here in the area, and they're out there and they're doing this and they're making it happen. And you can do the same thing too. You don't have to be here in Phoenix. We're looking for people in another city who are really ready to jump into wholesale real estate and elevate their game quickly. Because as I talked about, that was on the other hangout, but I do a mastermind on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time from the Anyway, it's from the other channel. You'll have to go find it. Open Business Mastermind, SGG Open Business Mastermind. Go look for it. But yesterday I talked about duplication and systemization, and that's what the Property Noodlers program is all about. We have duplicated we have systemized what we're doing, and now we're wanting to duplicate it. And we want you to be the leader of that duplication in your town, USA. So anyway, that's it for today. I just wanted to sort of give you an idea that you can be successful in this, even if you went from scratch, if you're bullheaded enough like we are to just keep on plugging and keep on pushing. Even within 3 years, you could do something like this. I didn't even get to the content that I planned to get to today, but the 10,000 hours, right? 10,000 hours, 3 years, at 10 hours a day for 6 days a week for 3 years, 10,000 hours. You are the master. That's what we've put in. We are the master. We can help you with your system and build your Property Noodlers program in your town. Anyway, with that, everybody, I'm getting out of here. Oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. And you guys have a great weekend. Think about starting a business, maybe a wholesale real estate business, and send an email to thepropertynoodlers@gmail.com to get some information on how to be successful and do it quickly.